Today's debate, and it's going to be a debate, narcissism. At least half of them become so vicious. I worked extensively in corrections. I worked with leaders of cults. They are allergic to accountability because accountability is death.
They're constantly looking for pattern breaches. Yes. And is mom or dad going to walk in the door? What am I to expect? Hello, everyone. Welcome back to I Wish You Knew. My name is Sarah Dawn Moore, and of course, I am joined by my friend Adam Lane Smith. And I just want to let you know that this podcast is sponsored by Rugged Legacy Grooming Supply. We're going to talk about something very interesting today, Adam.
Today's debate, and it's going to be a debate, and the audience is welcome to join us on this because I'm sure you'll have very strong views like I do. Narcissism. The rise of obsession with narcissism and everybody accusing everybody else of being a narcissist if you sneeze wrong, if you don't validate, or if you gaslight, if you abuse. Who's a narcissist and who's the real victim in these cases? We're going to talk about that today, and we're going to ruffle some feathers because it's going to be a rough one.
Well, not as rough as your beard is without Rugged Legacy. Rugged Legacy is a full grooming supply with shampoo, pomade, everything you need to look and smell a little bit more narcissistic in the best way possible. So, Adam, there has been a rise of the word narcissistic. It seems like every time I open my phone, either on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, I am seeing either, a woman talk about how she fell for a narcissist, how he gaslit her, breadcrumbing, and all these terms that are coming out that I'm wondering, do you even know what you're talking about? So I want us to talk about from a clinical perspective, really, what is the difference between narcissistic traits versus true narcissism? Because you practice for 15 years. And I find that to be so interesting whenever I talk about it on my platform, when there's somebody who comes in and says, well, they're narcissistic. And I correct them and say, well, narcissism is really a personality disorder that only affects a certain number of the population. And then you get a whole horde of comments coming at you saying, well, it's underdiagnosed because, narcissists don't truly go to psychiatrists and they truly don't get diagnosed. So what I want to talk about is why the victims of narcissism are also narcissistic, and what are we not telling them? Why are we enabling a victim to think that they are not the ones that are truly also narcissistic?
I love this topic, and what we need to do is be very, very careful with our language. I'm going to tell people at home right now, you are using the wrong words. Narcissism is very, very specifically defined. Look, I have a master's degree in psychology, focus into relationships, deep dive into abnormal psychology. I worked extensively in corrections. I worked with people who committed deep crimes. I worked with leaders of cults. I worked with leaders of gangs. I worked with people who had truly, truly crossed the line in harming other people and fit a full diagnosis of a personality disorder, whether antisocial personality disorder or narcissistic personality disorder. There are key traits that the vast majority of people have no idea what they're talking about. Selfishness is not narcissism. Selfishness is something completely separate. So when people say everyone on earth has narcissistic tendencies, absolutely not. Narcissism comes from the Greek myth with Narcissus, where he would stare into a pool at his own reflection and adore himself because he was elite. He was all that mattered. He was all important. Everything about himself was incredible. And it was a false image of himself as this god. That's what narcissistic personality disorder is about. It is about, I am elite. I deserve to be among the elite. I deserve to be above everyone else. It is that innate in them. Yes, it's based on brokenness. Yes, it's based on some insecurities from childhood, but that is that core belief. So if your boyfriend doesn't listen to your feelings, he is not being a narcissist. He could be selfish. He could be self-absorbed. He could just not care because your feelings don't make sense. But if you then turn around and try to label him and make him a monster, you are committing just as bad of a crime as he did, because you're now trying to pathologize his behavior and label him as an irredeemable human being, because that's really what the narcissism label has become, is irredeemable. This person is irredeemable and should be disregarded.
What I understand as well, going through my training and my coaching and really peeling back the layers of why these two people truly come together, right? Why they're attracted to one another, because there seems to be a little bit of a pattern that plays out, right? You have the person that is a little bit more like, you're an attachment specialist, so I can use this language to the audience if you've never heard it before, but you have somebody who's a little bit more avoidant, right? But they also suffer from a terrible lack of self-esteem. They also, lack a self-identity, lack grounding in who they are. So they typically tend to take, they suck from others, they get energy from taking, right? But then you also have this, the anxious, and they want to be saved. They want someone to rescue them. They are incredibly empathic, incredibly codependent. They don't see their behavior as the problem.
Right.
So when the breakup happens, or when, there's a breach in the relationship, they get to go continue on feeling as though that they were robbed by that person, right? That like they were wronged. And then it becomes this perpetual cycle of, and where I see, what's really sad to me is what I'm seeing are these content creators that are coming out that are perpetuating this narrative. And typically it tends to be that the man is more narcissistic, right? The man is more avoidant. The man, isn't doing this. He's giving you all of these breadcrumbs. He's not showing up. And so they're pulling in all of these women and saying, you're validated in your feelings. You are validated in how how you're experiencing yourself in the relationship, and he should be texting you. And if he isn't, then you get rid of him. And then here, buy my $99 product to fix your problems and to not fall for the narcissist again. It's like very manipulative, because typically empaths, they also suffer from a deep sense of self, of a lack of sense of self, a lack of self-esteem. So they tolerate the behavior because they don't know that they deserve better, or, so I'd love to kind of get into that, like the pathology of why these two people potentially come together and break it down as to why they're both at fault.
Let's do this. So what I have found through all my years of doing this, focusing on attachment, focusing on psychology, is that the people who put themselves into a perpetual victim mindset are allergic to accountability. And I say this because if you look on the internet and anybody who talks about attachment, right? I'm the attachment specialist with full qualifications, but there's a lot of people out there who talk about attachment. 99% of it is people who powder the butts of people who have anxious attachment. Because the moment you don't, at least half of them become so vicious and so hurtful in the comments as they turn on you and insist that they have done nothing wrong and that everyone else is at fault, because they are allergic to accountability, because accountability is death. Accountability feels too close to death for them, because if they have to be held accountable for their behaviors, if you tell them you have smothered and exhausted your partner by demanding that they constantly regulate your system for you, if you tell them this, they feel like they're going to die.
Yeah. So let's talk about that a little bit, because we're not here. I mean, I don't want to beat them up too bad, because I think that there is a way to acknowledge that typically what happens, right, is when you have a parent who does not validate you, right, who is always basically saying that it is your fault, that you are the problem, that you're wrong all the time, right? Like you constantly start to potentially believe that there is something wrong with you. So when you become an adult, and I'd love your opinion on this, but when you become an adult and you get into a relationship, that accountability it's not about the behavior that was wrong. It's about, I am bad. I am, everything is my fault.
Yep.
If I take accountability for this, it feels just exactly like death, like it's my fault. And these people will experience incredible depression. They will experience self-loathing. They will think that their whole life is a lie. Like they will go into such a spiral of self-shame versus really it's just a slight change in behavior, or I was just misbehaving a little bit. But what do you find with anxious people and their pathology? I want to talk about them and their background with their parental and their caregivers, and then we can talk about how
part of being a good partner is taking care of yourself so that the other person doesn't have to. And Rugged Legacy Grooming Supply will help you take care of yourself and look your best in your relationships.
And then we can talk about how the avoidant forms their maladaptive coping mechanisms.
Absolutely. So everybody watching this, if you've watched this show for more than 10 minutes, or if you've watched any of my material, you know that I grew up with an anxious attachment style, which is one reason I'm so hard on this right now. Because I didn't go around saying everybody else is the problem. Everybody I've known is a narcissist. Everyone else has issues. All of them are bad. That's what we call a problem-saturated story. My whole life, every story I tell is problem-saturated, right? And it's also surrendering full accountability, responsibility, power, control to everybody around you. Because when you have anxious attachment style, you believe that good things happen to you rather than for you. You don't make them happen. You have no power. You are completely helpless in the grip of everybody around you, like when you were a child, to have other people take care of you and not abandon you. So you spend your whole life saying, I am helpless. I am totally helpless. No one will rescue me. No one will make me feel good. And then when someone betrays you and someone treats you bad, yeah, there's horrible people out there and they will take advantage of you on purpose. I experienced this myself when I was growing up. But at some point, you have to say, I have been allowing these people to do this. I have made these choices. The people around me, it's not every human being's fault. They have their own issues, right? So avoidant people, like, and you've laid it out beautifully. Let's talk about this. Avoidant people are frightened. They're scared. We want to paint them as these horrible monsters that want to come into your home and wreck up the place and rob you of your sovereignty and take from you everything you have and then abandon you. We want to paint them this way because we can dehumanize them. Then we can excuse ourselves.
And they become the villain.
They become the villain. We become the hero. In fact, a martyr for love. We gave love when it was taken from us. And we become this hero in our eyes. And this is what so many other, unfortunately, so many other attachment creators on the internet, when they don't have a real credentials and basis, or they're just trying to make you feel good, to take things from you, they will tell you these things. Everyone else is the problem. You are good. I know you are good. And they validate you the way you wish you had been. And that's how you get a cult. That's how you build a cult. Anxious people join cults for that reason. But avoidant people, they're frightened. They're not narcissists.
Like mortal fear, frightened of being enveloped in intimacy.
Robbed, trapped, right? They're afraid of wandering in, and you trap them and then smother them and then drain them of their life. That's what they're afraid of. And unfortunately, this is what a lot of anxious people don't realize they're doing, is they do. You shackle them and you entrap them and you demand from them and you exhaust them, and they don't know how to build boundaries any more than you do.
I want to touch on something that's really important, I think, for the audience to understand, that as somebody who is an anxious as well, also recovered anxious, what people need to understand is typically they had a parent who they had to really, truly attune to. Constantly. And they become very, very aware of patterns. They're constantly looking for pattern breaches. And is mom or dad going to walk in the door? What am I to expect? Is there going to be a heightened level of temper? Are they going to be nice to me today? What is their mood going to be? So you become overly conscious of what what's going to happen, and you become predictive, and you become very, very good at watching people's behavior and attuning to what's going to happen and constantly monitoring your behavior for their reaction. Now, you get into adult relationships, right? And this is where the smothering comes in, I think, for the avoidant, right? Is because you start making things up in your mind. Okay, they didn't text me at this time when they usually text me. They didn't hug me, or they were a little off at that dinner. They didn't touch me as much. And then you start going into these self-protective mechanisms of, I'm going to pull away before the shoe drops. I'm going to monitor, or I'm going to overly suffocate to get that reassurance. I'm going to come your way. I'm going to attack you with the love and all the affection and all the things that I think that you want from me in order to get that love. And that's where I think that we are doing a disservice to them, to not teaching them that your self-regulation, learning how to take accountability to get your needs met. You are actually, I say this all the time to people, you are perpetuating the narcissistic behavior by your own wounding as well. Right. But again, it's the parent was the villain, I'm the empath. I had to do this. I had to do that. And my training is with addicts. And you will always see in a trauma bonded relationship, typically, and with deep addicts, with people that have been addicts for many, many years. And you will see addiction from a generation standpoint will continue on for decades.
Absolutely.
But you will never find an addict without a codependent, and an extreme codependent. There will always be an enabler versus somebody who is also an addict. And I think that being able to take accountability, being able to understand your part in this is crucial, because your narcissism is self-inflicted. Your narcissism is still the same as theirs, but it is self-inflicted. What do you think about that?
You know what's absolutely funny about this, and funny in the worst, most tragic way, but you have to laugh or you'll cry, is when I work with my clients and we solve their problems and we solve their attachment issues, eventually we always come back to their parents, right? It began with parents. And we talk about how one parent was so unloving. One parent was so critical. One parent was so chaotic. And the other parent was so good and so loving. But they would talk to me and we would suffer together through the other parent's behavior. And that was the good parent. And this is what they start with. And as they go through the course of this work together, they start realizing the other parent was coming to me and feeling like a good person because we were co-suffering together. Never once did the other parent, the anxiously attached parent, stand up to the other parent and say, hey, this is terrible. Why are you treating our child this way? Don't do this. They didn't push back on them. They didn't shelter the child. They just said, oh, we're co-victims together. Isn't it so awful? But at least I'm the good parent and I will always love you. So you should stay with me. If we ever get divorced, or your parent and I, you should stay with me because I'm the one who cares for you. And over time, their attitudes toward their parents begin to switch, right? Okay, that guy, he was a jerk. That guy was a jerk, but he was at least an honest jerk. And I can deal with that. Now I can talk to him and tell him, hey, I hate what you're doing. Don't ever do that or I won't talk to you. And he goes, oh, okay. And they fix it, right? It's usually pretty easy to fix it with the jerk parent because you just tell them what you want and what you won't tolerate. And they have to deal with it. The other parent, though, the other parent. So many of my clients have to carefully walk them through this very tactically of trying to talk to the other parent, if they even want to, getting them to take any accountability for their side of things, getting them to take any accountability for their enabling or for them poisoning the child against the other parent by alienating them so they had their security, right? My child loves me because I'm the good parent. I will alienate them even further from the other parent, right? Getting them to talk that through, that parent is usually the one that is impossible to reunite with because that parent, it was insidious how they got in there and alienated for so many years. And this is true in those relationships, getting people to stop their addiction. Often it's trying to get them to break up with the codependent person, even emotionally break up with them and say, I will not let you enable me anymore. I must stand on my own 2 feet. Then the other person freaks out and tries to find other ways to enable you. My point here in this episode is not that anxious people are evil. Believe it or not, right? Sarah and I, we both recovered from being anxiously attached. The point here is that we have spent years enabling anxiously attached people, and I think infantilizing them, and I think powdering their butts. I keep coming back to that, like they're children. Coddling them from their own accountability, from their own truth of what they are doing to your partner, what you're doing to yourself. You are giving away all of your power so that you can sit there and be the real narcissist in the relationship.
And furthermore, what they don't understand sometimes is that they can actually be a conduit for healing within the relationship. Like if they fix themselves, if they attune to themselves, if they have these open and honest conversations, because let's face it, typically these people deep down subconsciously tend to attract each other to one another. It's like 80% of the time you're going to have a spectrum, right? And like there's good chemistry. There's just a lot of attraction between these two types of people.
Yes, there is.
And so what I had to do, way back, just going through my own growth and understanding that sometimes it's just about communication. But again, the anxious is terrified to communicate their needs because what if they don't meet them, or what if they're going to dismiss my needs? But then you give them a choice. You say, you understand, first of all, what your needs are, because there's that for an anxious person, being able to speak your need in a productive and healthy way without demanding it or without, that's a process of years sometimes of saying, okay, what is it that I value? Because you're so used to attuning to everyone else that sometimes you don't even know who you are. You don't even know what is a value system? What is it? And I try and get them to understand, when they have this activation in their gut, or when they feel as they're just so uncomfortable, you're probably going against a certain value system. And retuning with your inner self is part of the healing process for an anxious attachment person, and understanding that, okay, I'm going to say this and it might result in losing a relationship. It might result in that person, going away, but that's going to be okay. Yeah. Or a lot of times what happens is you state your need, you give the other person time to think about it, you watch what they do, and they either come your way or they don't. Correct. But you not talking about your needs, you not sharing your values, but then resenting the other person for not meeting them. If he wanted to, he would. That's what I call that. That's what I call that. That is anxious attachment just disguised in like modern lingo. If he wanted to, he would. If you expressed what you want and what you need, he probably would meet them. And if he doesn't, then guess what? That's all the information that you need. Yeah. That doesn't make them, her, him a bad person. That doesn't make you a bad person. That just means that you are not capable of forming a relationship with someone that cannot and will not meet your needs, and vice versa. It just means that you're not compatible at that point, right? It takes it away from victim, villain. It makes it so that you're not giving your power away. Correct. You're just making it so that you're just not compatible. I don't know why that is so hard for people, because I think it's painful. I think the ego wants to protect itself at all costs.
Absolutely.
And if you don't like me, and if you can't meet my needs, then you're obviously selfish. No, that just means that you are not a good fit for a long-term relationship.
The most powerful person in the anxious and avoidant dynamic is the anxious person. Because they have the power to heal the avoidant person. They're the only person in the world with the power to heal the avoidant person. The avoidant person cannot heal themselves. The avoidant person doesn't trust anyone. The avoidant person wants two things. Number one is freedom. And number two is clarity. Those are the two things an avoidant person needs to feel safe, secure, cared for, right? To be able to lean into a relationship. And those are the two things that they fear everybody else will take from them. is their freedom and clarity. They think everyone is being fake and everyone is waiting to ensnare them. Unfortunately, anxious people often in relationships choose to do both of those things. They ensnare them over time through codependency, through niceness, through secret expectations that are unclear, right? This is why they are the most powerful person in the relationship, because when the anxious person, when they change those behaviors, they bring such peace to an avoidant person. I've seen this time and time again. The people who purchase my attachment bootcamp course, the attachment bootcamp, number one people who purchase that, it's not avoidant people. It's anxious people. Mm-hmm. They want to learn. Mm-hmm. Usually it's to fix their own pain. Often it's to stop their avoidant person from leaving them. But what they can do is use the skills, right, to self-regulate, mm-hmm. to build an identity that they're proud of, to stop being afraid of being abandoned, to stop feeling powerless and helpless. They can use those skills to then offer an incredible gift of safety and warmth to their avoidant partner that nobody else on earth has ever offered them. There is so much power there. Mm-hmm. Can we do an activity really quick for the people at home? Do you mind if I use you as my guinea pig here?
Yes.
People at home, here's what I want you to listen to, because you probably think we're kicking you while you're down, right? And then we're angry at you for being anxious. We're not. Actually, we're trying to encourage, because you have so much power. And we know that you have so much power, and we want you to use it. So I'm going to do this with you, Sarah. I know you're a wonderful guinea pig. Thank you for this. Do me a favor and close your eyes. I'm going to run you through a scenario. And then I'm going to ask you 3 questions. Then I'm going to run you through another scenario and ask you 3 questions. Mm-hmm. I think we might have done this before. You know what I'm about to do, but you'll play along. I know. You're a good sport. Close your eyes for me, and I want to run you through this. Let's pretend, and people at home, please follow along. Unless you're driving, keep your eyes open. Pretend that you have the best partner in the world. They're perfect, right? I don't care who you're picturing, right? It could be any celebrity, right? Maybe it's Keanu Reeves. I love Keanu Reeves. He's great.
A good one.
He's good. But whoever it is, right? Picture that you have a perfect partner. When they want something from you, or they expect, or they need, they're very clear and they're honest. They don't stomp their foot. They don't demand. They don't, you better do it. No, they say, you know what? Could you please do this for me? It would mean so much. If you can, that'd be wonderful. If you can't, that's okay too. But could you do this for me? This would be great. They're so clear. You know exactly what they need from you at any moment. When you do something that they don't like, they're very clear. And they tell you the first time, ooh, you know what? You didn't know this, and it's okay. I don't like this. I would actually prefer this. Next time, could you do this for me? That would mean so much. Thank you. And thank you for trying this time. You're not embarrassed. No one's mad. And they give you a clear pathway forward for what to do next time. So you always have your answer. You're never scrambling, trying to figure out what people want from you. And when you do something they do like, they're just grateful. Thank you. This meant so much to me. This was wonderful. Let me tell you, even why this is even more special than you realized. And they're just glad. Sarah, open your eyes for me and answer these 3 questions, if you would, please. Does this person trust you? Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's good, right?
Yeah.
They trust you because they're being honest. Thank you. A lot of people at home, if you're avoidant, you'll actually say no. Like, this person wants something from me. There's a secret reason here. A lot of avoidant people will say no, and that's a disconnect why they have a hard time trusting. Number 2, if you were getting this feedback, right? Hey, you know what? This was great. Thank you. This wasn't what I wanted. This would be, oh, you did it the second time. Great. Thank you so much. Constant feedback. And you're getting constant proof that they really are happy with you. Mm-hmm. Would you feel pretty confident in this relationship?
Yeah, absolutely.
Self-esteem would go up, right?
Yeah, I would know what to do. I would get better.
You'd feel incredible.
I'd feel good. Yeah.
This is actually how people heal inside relationships to become more secure, is by being with somebody like this. This is a great way to do it. You do this as a coach. You provide this for people as a coach. You are their secure person who's that honest with them. And that's how they heal with you. It's the relationship. Number 3, would you feel like this relationship would go on a long time? Like you'd be secure inside this thing?
Mm-hmm. Very much so.
Wonderful. Great answers. I knew that you would say yes. Okay. Close your eyes again, please. And let's do this. We're going to do the opposite. Okay. I want you to picture that you have the worst partner in the world. Don't say any names. You have the worst partner in the world. When they want something from you, they don't tell you. They don't tell you. They might drop hints, but if you guess it, They're embarrassed and they say, no, I was just joking. You don't have to do that. No, that'd be too much. No, don't worry about it. They're never clear on what they want from you. And when you get it wrong or you're doing something they don't like, they also don't tell you. They're nice. They're super nice. No, this was great. No, babe, that was fine. I love the spaghetti cooked that way. No, you did great. No, this was totally fun. No, yeah, it's fine. Don't worry about it. It was just, yeah. Until they have a bad day a couple months later, and all of those things add up, and suddenly they unleash on you about 10 things you've been doing wrong, and you haven't understood. You should know by now what they want from you. You should care enough to know what's important to them. And they blow it out in one big day and shatter your whole conception of a happy relationship. Then they go back to being nice. And the next day they're super smiley and nothing has happened. Everything's happy. And every 3 months they have a bad day where they cycle at you, or once a month. Sometimes people do that. You're never sure when the next explosion's coming and when you're actually doing right. And when you do something that they like, they get embarrassed. You didn't have to do this for me. How am I supposed to pay you back? This was too much. How much do I owe you? Can I pay you back for this right now in cash? They get embarrassed and they can't just enjoy what you have done right. Now, open your eyes, please.
Take a deep breath after that.
Yeah, you're not there. You're not in that relationship anymore. Now, answer me 3 questions. Do you feel like that person trusts you?
No. Absolutely not.
Not even slightly.
No.
Good answer. Mm-hmm. Number 2, if you were in this relationship, do you think you would grow more confident and secure in yourself over time, or less confident and secure over time?
Less confident. It would feel as though I would start questioning myself of, could I really make that person happy? Is it really me or is it them?
But wait a minute. If you want to wash off that feel and maybe smell of victimhood, and you want to take your power to the next level, make sure you check out Rugged Legacy Grooming Supply, because it will bring out your authentic masculine self. And number 3, would you feel secure in this relationship like it was going to last a long time?
Absolutely not. Way too much chaos.
Great.
Way too much chaos.
Now, what we've done here is we have defined what a secure partner looks like and why it's so important to be secure, and how you can become secure. Anyone watching this who is not a secure person yet, those behaviors we listed, go back, rewind, listen to those pieces of how you can be the perfect partner. Mm-hmm. Sharing your needs, being clear, telling what you want, telling what you don't want, and guiding the other person. Mm-hmm. Sharing your needs is a gift.
Yeah.
But here's the horrible, painful, agonizing truth that people need to listen to, is if you are anxiously attached and you're nice, and you don't share your needs, and you're unclear, and you tolerate things you don't like, and you're embarrassed by the good things, you have been that bad partner. Mm-hmm. And that is how avoidant people feel in relationships with you. The lack of clarity and the lack of freedom. That's why they feel ensnared, and that's why they feel scared.
Yeah. And I think it's important to recognize that when you start to heal from this stuff, mm-hmm. it can still be really messy in the beginning, right? Like it can still be, you're trying to figure it out. You wish you would have said this. You wish you would have said that. You wish that you didn't rush into the relationship so fast. You wish you didn't, enable the behavior or fall for the same person. You might stumble a little bit for maybe a couple months, maybe a year or two. Mm-hmm. Just being realistic that this takes a concerted effort to wake up every day and say, what am I going to do different today that is going to get me to where I want to get to? And you could go out on a date and somebody might love bomb you, and you might go, oh, I'm diving headfirst in, that chemistry is so strong that I am going in. And then 6 months later, you'll go, oh crap, I made the same mistake again. That's okay. It is okay. It's a trial and error, but somebody cannot love bomb someone who does not accept the love bombing. True. If you in setting a boundary isn't always going to be through words. It's going to be through actions. I remember when I first started doing this with people, I would set up almost a dating plan. We'd have a playbook because so many people will heal from this and they're like, okay, I'm good to go. I'm ready to tackle the dating world. I'm ready to go out there again. I understand what's happening. And then it would just crumble. And I think that's what you and I do as coaches, right? For me, it's about, let's have a plan in place. Because you have to set certain boundaries for yourself that you adhere to so that the other person understands, hey, I'm not going to play this game anymore. I want this type of relationship. This is what I'm looking for. And I'm going to be incredibly transparent. I'm only going to go out on 1 or 2 dates a week with you. I am not going to sleep with you for the first 60 to 90 days. I'm going to not get that dopamine attachment so quickly so that I find myself, entering in with the same patterns that I've always entered in with. And I think, I want to empower the anxious person. I want to give them the tools and say, you have the power to change this. But if you keep on making the same mistakes again and then blaming the other person for your own victimhood, I call it victim offender, then I'm sorry, but you are still the one to blame. You are still the one that is making the mistakes. Your husband cannot make changes if you do not make changes within yourself. And you're going to find that you're not going to be attracted to the same type of people, and they're not going to be attracted to you. And that's okay. It's a blessing. Right. I used to tell people, you thank them for their time. You thank them for entering your life and being a part of your journey. And then you wish them well. You wish them gratitude because you learn something new from them. Right. And I think that's what keeps you centered. That's what keeps you not becoming bitter. Because what I see a lot, and especially I'm going to call it the women here, the cat ladies, sorry, you can be mad at me. What I see happen is that they become so resentful in their own victimhood. And then nobody wants to be around that. Right. Nobody wants to be around somebody who is perpetually feeling sorry for themselves because essentially you have given all of your power away. You basically said, again, back to what you said in the beginning, things happen to me. I am a victim of my life circumstance. Everything that's bad happening to me is not my fault. Everyone else is bad. It's all, I am the victim here. Please rescue me. And it's never going to happen. Nobody is going to climb up Rapunzel's hair and rescue you from your castle. You have to be the one to rescue yourself. But I would suggest having some sort of boundaries, write these things down, have a dating plan. That's what I work with my clients to do is we need to come up with the non-negotiables. We need to come up with your value system so that you have a guide to work through. And then you come back, we talk about it. Can you negotiate with that person? Are there things that, because a lot of people, again, like they'll get all of this they'll get this information. And then they will have these strict boundaries and they will have these red flags, green flags, and they will forget all of the yellow flags. It will become just black and white. Like, nope, red flag, I'm getting rid of this person. But it's like, wait, hold on, calm down. Like, can we negotiate your needs? And it's uncomfortable, but I think there is power in this. And I just want to just really empower the anxious and not enable the avoidant either. But I think that there's enough information on the internet about being avoidant and about their narcissism that we need to show compassion for both sides.
I agree. There's 2 quotes that spring to mind when somebody relinquishes all power and accountability. There are 2 quotes that spring right into my mind. One is the famous swordsman Miyamoto Musashi, who said something along these lines: reality cannot be altered. You can either bow to it or be destroyed by it. So you must face reality, or it will wreck you. So people who are perpetually anxious and say, I cannot fix it, everyone else is the problem, you are ignoring reality and will be destroyed by it. Choosing to accept reality that you are the one enabling the people who are hurting you. And in fact, you are the bad partner in many of your relationships, going back to that a moment ago. Absolutely crucial. And here's the second piece, and the second quote is the famous public speaker and comedian Mitch Hedberg said, alcoholism is the only disease you can be yelled at for having. And that's because at some point, in order to move past it and heal from it, you must accept responsibility for the choices you make. Will you have temptations? Will you have challenges? Is it possible there are components that are difficult to control or perhaps beyond your control in the wrong circumstances? Yes, there could be. And an anxious attachment, it's been programmed into your nervous system. It will take a long time to fully overcome through those secure relationships. But you must take responsibility for your choices. You must identify bad circumstances where you are liable to be love bombed and then accept the love bombing. You must accept times where you will act like an alcoholic. And alcoholics don't spend time in bars. They don't say, well, I'll just have a few beers. Alcoholics typically, if you follow the 12-step program, you accept that there's difficulty and there's going to be difficulty. You abstain as much as possible. You keep yourself around people who will support
you have personal accountability partners. You have meetings. You have meetings.
Yes. You have mentors. You have relapses, and then you call yourself to account for them and refine your process.
Yes.
You don't have a relapse and say, oh no, alcohol fell into my mouth from the sky. I will just continue doing exactly what I was doing before. I have a very good friend who says every conflict must have a consequence. Same with your behavior. Every relapse must have a change, a lesson you should learn and refine. Same thing here. So treat your anxious attachment like alcoholism and make many of the same choices. It's funny how alcoholism and attachment issues often do go hand in hand. I've never seen alcoholism without attachment issues, but fix it that way. Take accountability. That's why I'm getting so heated during this debate, is not because I'm angry at anxious people. It's because I see so much opportunity for you guys to grow and to heal those around you. The desire to help.
Yeah.
The desire to help is so deeply ingrained in these people. Yeah. It's why I help. It's why you help. And not because we're codependent, but because we have moved beyond it and we can embrace our desire to help others more fully. Yeah. We can embrace that empathetic desire to care for others, to nurture others, right? That is the power of an anxious person once they have come through their anxiety and have become secure.
And I will add to that, the first step in healing this, and the first step to acknowledging that there is a problem and that you need to be a part of the solution, is stop following people that perpetuate this narrative. Because you will get on social media and you will spend hours in bed, with your chocolates and your bonbons, and you'll say, oh my gosh, see, and you will feed the dopamine channels within your brain that will give you that reward, that will make you feel good, because you will feel as though you were wronged. It feels like you were right all along. Like you were wronged. But I will caution you, if you get on YouTube, there are many, many people, many creators that are using this narcissistic term to sell products, to sell you a narrative that it was not your fault. And it may not have been your fault, but it is your responsibility at this point to take ownership. And the first thing that you need to do is stop consuming content, as well as the avoidant person. You need to get with reality, get a reality check, because all of this only will keep you stuck. If you consume this content that is so polarizing and that is painting men as all narcissists and painting women as all victim, or vice versa. I also see men who are nice guys who think that women have wronged them. I did a clip the other day about this whole, Jada Pinkett, whatever Smith. I would pay someone to stop showing up on my feed. But, I said, Will, he needs to take responsibility for his own life. And I don't know what the intricacies of their relationship is. I don't think anybody knows. I don't think anybody cares. But the main point is that if you are staying with someone, if you are with someone, if they are not, being in a cohesive, cooperative relationship with you, you are the nice guy.
Yeah.
You are the enabler. You are the one. And the minute I said that, I had a ton of guys flood in that said, ha, victim shaming. Will is the victim here. He was the one that was cheated on. He was the one that was betrayed. And I go, yep, that's it. You can spot a nice guy from a mile away versus, and that's what I'm talking about. That's what I coach my men with, right? Is you can be a kind man. You can be a good man, but a nice guy is a man who negates responsibility for himself. And that is what is unattractive to women. Women want you to take full responsibility. They want that masculinity is very, very attractive. And that is a man who takes responsibility for his behavior and makes change based off of that behavior.
Be careful, everybody. If somebody is validating you, ask yourself if they are also empowering you or disempowering you. My concern in all of this is not, are we over empowering? That's not my concern. I don't think that we are over empowering anxious people at all. I think we are disempowering them.
Correct.
We are infantilizing them. People are saying he was wrong or she was evil, right? There's just as much on both sides. They were awful. There is nothing you could have done better. You were a victim. You need to keep watching my content forever because only I can keep you safe. I can't even maybe teach you how to stay safe. You need to constantly come to me to protect you forever. That's disempowering. Look at what you and I do, right? What do? Hey, look, yeah, I get where you're coming from. It hurts, some validation. Here are some steps you can take to get stronger, to make better relationships, to take accountability, to do better in the future. If you need help, we're here, but we're not your cult leaders. We are going to make you stronger so that you can live the rest of your life better on your terms. That's exactly what this whole conversation has been about today. So if it feels weird, it's because we're empowering you instead of disempowering you.
Nobody is a victim to their circumstance.
Yeah, right. So very few people are actually authentic victims to their circumstances. Very few. Are there some out there who are really under the victimhood of terrible people? Yeah, sure. Yes, there are, right? But the vast majority in our culture, do you think that they are full victims or do you think that they are giving up their power?
Absolutely, they're giving up their power. And I wasn't ready to hear it until I was ready to hear it.
Yeah.
And I know that there's a lot of people where, we're just planting seeds and you might hate us. We probably will get a lot of hate.
Sure.
And that again, I just kind of see through that too. That's just a defense mechanism to protect your ego and that's okay.
I get it.
But if, you're seeing this and to people who are watching, you have the power, That's what Adam and I do. That's how we coach. That's what we do. We want to help. And if you're not ready, that's okay. If you think that you've still been wronged and you want to stay in that place for a little while longer, that's okay too. But what I can tell you is that when you heal yourself, it's not perfect. I make mistakes all the time, and I'm sure you do too, Adam.
Oh gosh, yes, absolutely.
Like we make mistakes, but taking accountability, being able to state your needs, being able to self-regulate, it doesn't have to feel like quicksand. I remember my life pre-attachment, right? I remember it feeling just everything was so dramatic. It was like I couldn't go throughout my day without feeling like I was going to have a nervous breakdown. There was always something, right? And it was something with my partner, something with how the relationship was going. You don't understand how much peace there is when you heal this. And that dating, all of the strategy, all of the things that you thought that you needed to do to protect yourself, to get your needs met, all of the coping mechanisms and the maladaptive and all the things that you try to do and that your needs don't get met, that just disappears. You show up authentically, you talk about yourself authentically, and then you leave dates going, well, okay, let's see how that goes. If it doesn't work out, that's okay. They weren't for me and I wasn't for them. Or in the relationship, I'm going to state my need. If they don't know how to meet it, then we're going to figure out how to negotiate. And if it becomes a pattern, then I'm going to exit this relationship and I'm going to be okay with it. And I'm not going to speak poorly about my ex. I'm not going to, I'm not going to make them the villain. Like, I'm telling you guys, once you heal this stuff, you won't need Adam and I anymore. You're going to be so happy. You're going to be so carefree. You're going to have so much peace in your life, right? You know what I'm talking about, Adam? You have so much peace in your life and you have hope. You have a hope for a future. You don't wake up every day feeling like you have a black cloud over your head. You can just feel so much more light and so much more carefree. So if you want that feeling, if you want to go into dating and look at it as fun versus look at it as dreadful, if you want to be able to have a relationship where you feel safe, where you understand you have a great self-esteem, where you can walk away feeling like you did your best, then call us and book a call with us because we will help get you there. I promise you, it doesn't have to be this hard.
Absolutely, Sarah. People at home, we are here to help. We're here to help you take back your power if you want us to. We are here to help you become secure if you want us to. And we're here to help you be the good partner in your relationships if you want us to. Sarah, if somebody wants to do those things and they want to work the fast track, right? They want professional assistance if they choose to work with you. What are some options that you provide and where can people find those things?
Absolutely, Adam. You can find me at sarahdawnmoore.com. I offer one-on-one coaching. I am very solution oriented. It's much different from therapy. We don't even need to dive into your childhood. I give you solutions. We work together as a team. I am your coach. And I also have a course called Mastering Modern Love where I really tackle and break this down as far as the dynamics between the anxious and the avoidant, male and female dynamics, how to have a thriving, productive relationship with the opposite sex. I even had panel discussions with men and women who give their opinion on how to be an amazing partner to one another. So Adam, where would they find you?
You can find me on adamlanesmith.com. I'm also at Attachment Adam on YouTube and Instagram. You will find my personal one-on-one coaching based on my 15 years of professional training and professional experience, first as a licensed psychotherapist, now as the attachment specialist. If you want to fast track your process, I will help you through results-driven coaching. I also have the Attachment Bootcamp, which condenses all of my training down into a beautiful video course that will show you exactly how to work through this process step by step. If you want to fix it, that's one of the number one places that anxious people start.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for joining us on I Wish You Knew. We hope that you found value in this conversation, and we can't wait to see you on the next one.